Hi everyone, welcome to my mess. All right, in this video, I want to address a couple of things. Thing one is, I'm sure we all have pages where we have started working on the page, we did a few things, we didn't really like it. We added some paint, drew some more things. So on this page was an entire page of notes to begin with. And I didn't need them anymore. They were notes just for something I was doing for that day. I do that all the time in my journal. Then I painted over it, and then I was learning something new about drawing faces. I always incorporate learning something new into every single week, sometimes every day. Like I try to practice something new every day, but I was learning something new, so I have some like weird little face drawing, tiny little face drawings on here. And then I decided that I was done playing around with this page and I wanted to make it into something. I drew a couple of faces, I put some words on it, and I still just really don't like just about anything about this page. The only thing I really like at this point is I do like this face here. Even though I spent time working on this one, it just isn't working for me, right? So the first thing I want to address is this kind of, these types of pages in your journals. I'm sure we all have them. I can't be the only person. Also, here's another one. I did this last night, and I was basically just listening to a book and doodling things from in the book, and like I literally will just doodle out like quotes that aren't, they're just words, random words that for whatever reason appeal to me at the time. So this page as well I will need to address in another video, but today we'll concentrate on this one. So the first thing that this page makes me think of is I really don't like the colors as they are right now. And there are two secret colors, they're not secret, but anyway, there are two magical colors that you can always add to a page that has a lot of green and or specifically a lot of turquoise to really make the page appealing. And these were things that I kind of happened upon either like on my own or conversely I heard someone say it, but we're talking many years ago. I don't know who to credit that to, but basically if you add red or orange to anything teal, it's going to look better. So I already know whatever I do with this page, if I'm going to keep any of the teal, then I can use these two colors and I'm immediately going to like it more. So just to kind of show you what that is like really quickly, I think this color is kind of really transparent. That's why I don't use much of it, but we'll give it a shot just the same. Keep from putting paint on my glasses, hopefully. So I'm just going to go straight in here with some of this orange, and I'm just going to go over this area that's kind of purple because that's, totally one of the things I don't like about this page. And yeah, this orange is definitely like super transparent. So when that happens, just apply white paint to it. Because white paint will simply give you the opacity that you need when you're trying to layer a transparent color over something that you don't like, because otherwise it kind of dulls it down and it looks like super boring. I mean, you can tell how transparent it is. You can read the writing straight through it. But if I come in with some white and put that down, well, white that's not really old and goopy. I'm trying to use up this white in this container. But as soon as I put down some of the white and then I come back in with my orange, it's much brighter. And if you really want it to be darker, just let the white dry. So put your white down, let it dry, and then you can come in with your orange, and your orange will be super vibrant, and you can immediately see how orange really perks up teal. It's a beautiful and fun color combination. But there is another color combination which is pretty much any red. Now I've gone for a really deep, almost a terracotta type of red. Technically it's called Tuscan red. Sorry, I was distracted by a cat going past my window. So easy to distract me with kitty cats. All right, so another area I have over here, which is like a light pink, and there's some of it up here too. I don't dislike the light pink, but it's just in combination with the teal and the more khaki color, it's just kind of boring. But if I come in with this red, you see how it just pops so nice against that turquoise? It's beautiful. And you know, if you look at a color wheel, you will see that blue or basically blue-green, right? So that's kind of like a turquoise, is kind of opposite of a red-orange. So if you've got any sort of a turquoisey color and you really want to make it more attractive, you can go directly opposite of it on the color wheel, and you'll be able to get a nice contrasting color combination that is going to almost inevitably look good because they are a complementary color to each other. They complement each other. So something to keep in mind. And if you don't have one of these, get one. They're incredibly useful. I refer to it all the time, and I've been painting for 10 years at least now. A minimum of 10 years. But you can see how quickly the red and the orange are transforming the page and making it far more interesting to look at. I wish I'd have picked up a different orange, because this one, it's the reason why there's so much still in this bottle is because it's super transparent. But anyway, so I think you kind of get the idea how helpful orange and red can be when you're working with something that already kind of has teal, and it looks really good with this sort of khaki brown as well, or sandy brown. Okay, so that is one thing that I know I can do, is I can add paint, and I know what colors I can add to this. But another thing that I can do, obviously, is I can start to try to build a page. And a fun way to do that, if you're into challenging yourself, if you have a collage drawer or a collage folder, however you keep it, if you've got a flat file, whatever you keep your collage in, just literally reach into your pile and pull out a handful of things, and then use them. So you don't have to use everything. If you pull one thing out and you're like, no, that totally doesn't fit with this page, don't use it. So I just reached in and pulled out a handful of things. And I'm pretty sure these are coming all from two different crafty related magazines. And immediately I saw, I pulled it out like this, and I was tempted with this because this kind of looks like Florida, even though it may not be. So anything that's going to remind me of, you know, my home and my home state is definitely something that's appealing to me. But when I saw this fence, I was like, yeah, I need this fence in my page. So that is definitely going to have a big impact on the page. And what I'm probably going to do is go ahead and put it like maybe here, right? So that I can build the rest of the fence out with paint, which will be fun. At least to me, it's fun, and it will help to kind of tell a story. Then I pulled this, which I don't know for, you know, I'm not really sure about this one. I maybe could have, you know, like used the hand if more of it was there. So I'm not sure with this. As soon as I saw this one, I was like, dude, yeah, I can have a castle. Somehow, I don't know how, but I'm going to have a castle in my page. And then, of course, obviously, a tree works really well with this. Or I could go with maybe something where I could cut these hearts out. But I feel like the tree is going to use a large portion, and I'll still have this for something later. So I'm definitely going to incorporate this tree in here. And then I have this little empty or a open paint container, or I have this little mason jar, and I think probably I'm going to cut the little mason jar out and maybe hang it on the fence, right? None of this was pre-planned. I just pulled a handful out. And, you know, if you can start to try to tell a story, but maybe half of the stuff you pull out doesn't really work, then put it aside and pull another handful. But try not to pick through, because I mean, I do pick through a lot, specifically when I'm looking, like I've already got a story started and I'm looking for like one more really great thing. Or I know I want something that is heart shaped, you know what I mean? I know I want a bug or something like that. But these kinds of pages are where I feel like you end up telling stories that you didn't know that you needed to tell. So a lot of great stories are developed in my journals by doing this type of process. So before we go any further, I'm going to go ahead and cut out the different elements that I know I want to use, and then when I come back, we will get busy gluing them down. All right, I'm back. I've cut everything out. So I did opt to go ahead and cut all the greenery, everything around the fence out, just because I really like the fence post sort of, freestanding and being able to kind of layer. And I do really like the little castle, which will probably go here somewhere. Now, I'm kind of wasn't sure about this, and I've kind of opted to leave the gray because there's so much of it, like in and around all of these leaves that I would, not want to bother trying to cut out. And I really like this orange and red strip along the bottom of it. So I think it's going to go here. I think I'm just going to kind of fill that out and grow that. But I think I'm going to do a little painting of things first before I get to that part. So once I kind of, figure, I think I know where I'm going to put things, then it's time to kind of decide, what do I want to paint, what gets glued down yet, and what needs to have some painting done first. So I think where I'm headed at this point is I want to get this glued down. I want to put some of these, I want to continue these stripes maybe along here, and then I will worry about placement of these things here. I mean, I know the mason jar is going to kind of hang out somehow on the fence, but that's about the only thing I know as far as the fence goes. So the next step then is going to be to just get this glued down. And I think just to save myself the heartache, I am going to line it right up on the fold just so that it doesn't bend every time I open and close the book. So in this case, as I've said before, it depends on what I'm doing, whether or not I will use glue stick or not. I think glue stick for this tree is going to be fine. And because I know I'm going to be painting a lot of the page anyway, I'm not really worried about getting glue stick on the page. So I'm just going to apply it just as it is. And I've missed a bunch of spots, so there we go. All right, so I'm going to put this, I want to leave enough room up at the top that I can grow the tree out, and I'm thinking probably I'm going to grow that tree right into it becoming part of her hair, which would be kind of fun. So next step is going to be to put the orange and red in, and I'm just going to follow it all the way across and probably bring it all the way down, which should be just interesting to look at, and we'll see where it goes from there. So I will speed through that process because it's just paint. I'll be right back. All right, so I did a little more than just paint the bottom, but I kind of got into the flow of going ahead and trying to incorporate as much as I can into this before I glue everything down or start like painting a tree, that type of thing. So I kind of went with this sort of like orangey red that'll basically be just sort of maybe the sky, and then incorporate it maybe as her hair. We'll see as we get further. Right now, I'm going to go ahead and glue this down and then attempt to kind of bring this fence out. I'm not a professional fence painter, so we'll see how it looks. And because of the magazine that I cut this from, this magazine has a tendency to tone everything kind of a bluish gray. So I'm probably going to end up playing around with trying to paint it with grays, and then if I get frustrated, I might just go over it with a slightly transparent brown. We'll see how that goes. I mean, I do kind of like keeping that color because I have it here, but this tree has a lot of actual brown in it, so I'm not sure it's kind of going to be I think this feels more stone-like if it's cold natured, but I feel like this needs to be warm, but we'll see. So I'm going to get to it, and I will pop back in once I have the fence done and probably this tree, because I think that's going to take a while. So it's just tedious, and really it's just playing with paint. So I'm just going to get a couple of browns, a couple of greens, or a green and a yellow, and just kind of, you know, draw the tree out and see what happens with it. right, everybody. So I kind of got a little carried away and, just started painting everything. But I think this still serves as a really good example as to what you can do. I'm not going to use bright white because that's going to pop a little too much. I'm going to use off-white. If I can find off-white. Oh, here it is. You can see, this was a page literally that not only did I not like the page, but I was prepared to just paint over the whole thing again. And I've already painted over it several times. So I kind of felt like at some point I have to commit to something, I have to reach a point where I say, it's time to stop painting over everything. And again, just, it doesn't have to start out with like this extreme, it has to have deeper meaning, and if it doesn't have meaning, then it's a waste of time, or whatever. Just paint, just have fun, just play around, and use random collage, because you might end up creating something that you really kind of like. I'm trying to decide color to just finish out the handle of this mason jar that I forgot to do. It's just something fun to do that you might not otherwise have thought to do. If you hadn't chosen, randomly those few pieces of collage, you might not have ever come up with that page. And I think that I can definitely tell a couple of stories here with this page, or I can just go and look for a story that would be fun to tell, like maybe a poem about collecting lightning bugs. I definitely, as a child, I'm sure not all, but many of us, those of us who lived in an area where we had lightning bugs, I'm sure that you played with lightning bug, out trying to catch them or whatnot as a kid. So like you totally could sort of bring in a kind of childhood sort of vibe. I'm just going to kind of wash this over like so, just to kind of give that impression that it's kind of shining, but I don't really want it to entirely cover up my little bugs so much. So what I'm going to do is just take a little water on the brush and just kind of wet it down just for a second, and then just sort of lift, and then that way I can pull away some of that color. And we'll just sort of let it kind of shine out onto sort of the surrounding areas that maybe would be hit with the color, the light, I should say, the color. There we go. All right, so anyway, I think you kind of get the idea. Again, it's so difficult to teach this because I'm never usually, unless I were to like put out a collage sheet, I'm never going to have the exact same collage items that you do. But I don't think that, I think you could easily go and find, like a couple of things. Maybe, you could have easily put some mountains in here like I did in a previous video. You could find something that you could just paint a fence. Fences seem like they might be hard, but they're super easy to paint actually. So you could just paint a fence and, build a story around it. But I think that this kind of goes to just sort of explain a little bit better that just overall concept of being able to just take a handful of paint colors and a handful of collage and build from it. And again, this time, I think I did the last time as well, I kind of used whatever the collage was really to sort of dictate what I was going to do with this page, with the exception that I knew I wanted to incorporate warm oranges and reds because they make the teal look so good. And I know it's a little off, you know, like it's hard to see because the paper shines, and that's only because I have light coming straight down onto it. So it does look better when you're looking at it in person and you don't have that shine on it. But I think that it's a good sort of way to get more comfortable, not only with painting from sort of random collage stuff, but also too, it's a really awesome way to start to work with things like painting fences, stuff like that, that you wouldn't normally necessarily think to paint. So this can be a really good way to sort of bridge that learning gap, so to speak. So if you've been doing art journaling for a long time and you're like, I'm an old hat at it, and there's never anything new, you know what I mean? Like you feel like you sit down and you do the same thing over and over again. This is an awesome way to get out of that, to stop doing that, or to bring, you know, something richer and more interesting into your journal, so that it's not just a flip of faces, backgrounds, abstract, faces, background, abstract, in the occasional, you know, like a couple of butterflies or something, which is, you know, typically that's the kind of stuff we do when we're sort of first getting started. So this is a really great way to kind of build your way past that, so to speak, or, you know, to kind of start verging or bringing yourself into other things. So a few things that I probably will still do with this, but I'm not going to make this video any longer to do it, is I'm probably going to come in with a black charcoal pencil or like a piece of vine charcoal and just go around some of these leaves that I've sort of layered in here to sort of make them stand out a bit. And my reasoning is because in this original piece, all of it has black around it. I don't know if the person drew around them or if they were painting over top of maybe that they'd already drawn it black. I'm not really sure how they achieved that. It's almost like they drew it all out in black and then came back in with paint, because it also looks like some of this originally was collage. Some of these leaves are just little cut out pieces of collage. So anyway, I might come in and go around some of these just to sort of help make them look more like this. So the thing that they're missing is that little hint of a black outline. I tried to kind of do that by putting in the gray and then the black, but I really feel like it would look really good if I just went around a few of them. But I do, before I bring in charcoal or anything like that, I definitely want all this paint to dry, and it's still really quite wet because I did do this all in one sitting, even though I've sped it up and that kind of thing for the video. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. If you have any questions about this kind of stuff, you know, please leave a comment below. I'm happy to answer questions, try to address things that maybe come up for you or that you saw me do and you feel like I didn't really explain, or you'd like to know why I did it. And don't forget to click like and subscribe if you're not subscribed, and share with your friends. I will be ramping up my YouTube videos more and more over the next coming months. So if you really enjoy these videos, the best way to get me to do more of them is to click like and leave a comment, because I'm guaranteed to see it and I'm guaranteed to be motivated to want to do more. All right, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and I will see you around the internet.